You got this because God has you. You can't fail with God. Notice I said with God, not apart from God. A lot of times we think we're failing because we feel like the work we're putting in, all the effort is not accomplishing anything. We feel like that we're not progressing, but just because you don't feel it, just because you don't feel like you see it, doesn't mean that it ain't working. It takes time for anything to work. When you take medicine, it takes time for that medicine to kick in. Glory be to God. When you're waiting on something in the mail, when they send it off, guess what? You got to wait on that. Like I always say, stuff is not going to happen overnight. But you got this because God has you. You can't fail with God. Remember, not apart from God. You can't fail with God. It may come, it may not come when you want it to come. It may not come the way you want it to come. Because sometimes when God promises a thing, we think we make our own vision and trying to, manipulate it to come the way we want it to come. But it's not going to happen like that. When you letting God lead, it's going to come in His time, and it's going to come in His way. And sometimes when it don't come in our way, we get discouraged. But that's the purpose of letting God lead, because He knows what's best for you. He knows what's good for you and what isn't. He knows who's good for you and who isn't. Don't let the devil deceive you. I was deceived once, more than once. Don't let the devil deceive you. In order to stay in alignment and walk into what God has for you, you gotta pray. You gotta stay in His presence. You gotta seek Him in His word. You gotta have that quiet time. You got to clear out distraction and confusion from your mind. That's why it tells us to be sober-minded and alert. The devil waiting on to creep in any little hole to implant his thoughts in your head to discourage you. But you got this because God has you. You can't fail with God. You can't fail with God. What He told you, what He promised you, is going to come, but it's going to come in His time and in His way, and His time and His way are the best way. Until next time, I love you, but I could never love you as much as God the Father and the Lord Jesus Christ getting you a good Bible-based church. If you're not already, know that word for yourself. Do it God's way, God's will. Get in God's will and get in God's